What's going on, guys? I want to welcome you back to another Q&A video. As always, everything is timestamped. If you have any questions, leave them down below. So that said, let's get started. Hey Alex, does the time of day you work out matter? Does it matter? Absolutely. Like, dude, if I train early in the morning, there's no way I'm lifting heavy ass weight. It's gonna be impossible. I feel like a fucking zombie in the morning. Like you can't talk to Alex from Alpha Destiny when he just got up from his bed, okay? And if I try doing a deadlift or any exercise, I'm gonna snap my shit up. My form's gonna be all off. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna get hurt, guaranteed, even if I warm up. So I think that it absolutely matters. Like, some guys are different. Some dudes, they can just wake up in the morning, they're ready to go. Some dudes like training the afternoon, others nighttime. There's also some hormonal responses. I remember Omar Isuf made a video discussing it, and basically, like, for some guys, it takes your nervous system a long time to get started, right? And also, you got to factor in the food intake. Like, for me, I'm an eater type of guy, right? Like, I have to have multiple meals in my stomach before I could train. If I go on empty stomach, I'm weak. If I go in with 1 to 2 meals, I'm weak. I'm at my best performance, honestly, really late at night, and when I had like 4 different meals, especially when I have a massive supper. If I have a huge fucking supper, bro, then that's going to be a great training session. So it definitely does matter. It's all relative to your own like individual experiences, if you ask me. I know some studies can point otherwise, but I just say go with what works for you. For me, it's late at night. Other people, it's in the day. Other people, it's like the moment you wake up. So just figure out what works for you. Next question. When I do neck curls, my forearms and elbows hurt. I use 90 pounds and it's hard to hold given my small fingers and hands. Should I move on to natural enhance / get a harness? Okay, what you're experiencing right now, I got the same thing. In fact, everybody who reaches 90 pounds in a commercial gym, for the most part, is going to have the same issue. Basically, the plates get really thick, so you have to pinch it almost. Like, you got to pinch grip it, and you're turning it into like a forearm exercise. Right now, the reason why your elbows are hurting is because you probably have like narrow plates. Like, they're not as wide, right? So you have like a very close stance with the plates, and it's causing inflammation in the elbows. Especially like if you have rubber plates, that explains it 100%. So that explains the elbows, right? But for the forearms, it's very obvious. You're gripping onto 90 pounds. Like, if you guys ever did a 90-pound neck curl, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Hands become the limiting factor. I don't know if it's because I have small hands. My hands are 7 inches at their like greatest point from here to here, 7 inches. This guy claims to have smaller hands than me, so I can definitely see why you'd be having issues. Now, there's a couple solutions out of this. You could always get smaller plates, like thinner plates. I think there's thin 100-pound plates that they sell, or thin 45-pounders. That should rack you up to around 135 pounds total. But after that point, you're pretty much screwed. So in my opinion, you should definitely get a neck harness. And if you want to invest in Natural Enhance, be my guest. I show you a ton of neck exercises, lots of stuff that I've never shown you on this YouTube channel, lots of secret exercises that come from the MMA world, wrestling world, etc. But you don't have to get it. But I'm just saying, like, a neck harness would probably fix you up, because you can do the neck curl from the reverse. You hang the chain behind your body, you can do neck curls, You can even put like a band on the bottom of a bench, and now you can do more neck curls. There's lots of variations, man. But yeah, if this is becoming an issue with your grip, like you maxed out 100 reps or so, then yeah, switch to variation. That's what I would do. So that's that. Next question. I'm cutting. My chest is lagging very much. I'm running a novice program. I can do 145-pound close grip bench, 8 sets of 3, still rising fast, and 150 pounds, 5 sets of 3 flat bench, very slow gains. I use almost or perfect form. Try to do my best. What can I do about my chest? No, I can't do floor press. Okay. Listen, the reason why you have a lagging chest is because of your strength standards. Like, the numbers you're hitting right now are not very high. And secondly, you're cutting. Now, why the fuck are you cutting? That's what I want to know. Why are you cutting when your numbers are in that level? Like, I'm not trying to disrespect you in any way. All right. My only assumption is that you're obese, and that's why you'd be cutting. Now, someone who is obese and they're cutting, typically they can actually make strength gains. So if you're not plateauing in strength, if your bench continues to rise, then you shouldn't have issues developing your chest. At the end of the day, if your chest continues to lag after that point, it's not because the programming has any flaws necessarily. Rather, it's your genetics. Genetics is going to be the number one factor here. You might be an arm dominant type of guy. I'm seeing that right now with your close grip bench to flat bench ratio. But overall, it's because of your strength levels. It's your strength levels. You need to get stronger. You're not going to have watermelon pecs when you're benching like 150 pounds. I've known tons and tons of guys. I've coached guys who have the same strength as you. And guess what? Pretty much all of them had shitty chests. Most guys are not going to have watermelon pecs when they're benching that little, okay? I'm just giving you the raw truth. Even when you hit 225, believe it or not, a lot of guys don't have the biggest chest. When I got 225, my chest was not the biggest. It definitely improved, but it wasn't like It wasn't a magical thing like I thought it was going to be. So you'd be very surprised. This is natural land, right? You're not on drugs. You probably don't have the best genetics. It's something you got to deal with. And of course, you got to up your strength. You got to up your strength, man. You're not strong enough to have a really good chest. And also, like, you don't have a lagging body part. Let's just be honest here, right? You're a novice. You're a novice. Your whole body is weak right now. You probably have lagging arms, lagging chest, lagging shoulders. I bet if you send me a picture of your body, I see lagging body parts everywhere. And again, it's not to offend you in any way. I understand that you are trying to get better, but I'm just saying a lot of novices, they claim they have lagging body parts when in fact, everything is lagging. So just put that into perspective. So that's our next question. What is the best stretch overloading exercise for the chest? That is up for debate, my man. Like this, first of all, when you do stretch overload training for the chest, the reason why I've not been able to replicate the rack pull above knee for the chest is because there's a safety risk involved. Okay, like I think that, for example, let's say you do weighted dips, right? With like 300 pounds and you just do the bottom part, right? And you just do the weighted stretch. Yeah, you might be stretching out your chest with a lot of weight, but now you're also putting your shoulders at risk too. So that's like the number one issue. You're going to put your shoulders at risk and you won't be able to press it off your chest. And you can probably tear something too. So that it's not the same. And your chest, keep in mind, is not as strong as your traps. Your traps can easily hold over 1,000 pounds. So when trying to say, okay, what's the best way to stretch and movement for the chest? It's very hard to recommend anything because there's a safety risk involved here. But if I can name you the best stretching lifts, it would have to be the weighted dip. Hands down, weighted dip, I would say, is number one. The camber bar bench press for extra range of motion. Pause bench is excellent for that. Dumbbell presses with the arms like out to the side, and you can't use super heavy dumbbells for this because then it's going to be too bulky and the range of motion gets cut. And possibly even dumbbell flies. Yep, dumbbell flies as well. Those are the best stretching movements for the chest. So that's that. Next question. I recently watched a video where a guy said that he increased his bench by holding 20% over your 1 rep max on dumbbell barbell bench mid-rep, meaning you hold the weight for 1 minute at the bottom of a half rep. It's supposed to strengthen your ligaments. Do you foresee any injury to one's connective tissue from doing that? Yeah, I could see possible injuries from this, but like you have to analyze, what are you doing from this? You're saying you're going 20% over your 1 rep max and you're doing an isometric hold mid-rep. Is that even possible? I don't even think that's possible, to be honest with you. How is that possible? 120%. Do you know what the fuck that is? It's a lot of weight, especially if you're hitting serious numbers. Imagine if you have a 4 or 5 bench and you're going 120%, pausing in the middle of your chest and doing an isometric hold. Okay, that's fucked. That's very fucked. Now, I don't think it could be done in the way that you're describing. It doesn't sound right. I can't believe that that's 120%. How the fuck are you gonna do an isometric hold mid-rep with that much weight? The weight is gonna fucking crash. If you try doing the negative and you lower the shit, you're not gonna be able to pause in the middle of your chest. I can't envision that. I'll be honest with you, okay? But let's say you could do that, right? Would this be the best way to train? Kind of like a sportal press type of lift? I would say no. I say no. I think that if you're gonna do half reps, like midway stuff with overloads, just press off boards. It's not hard. So if you're gonna be right here, get a 2 board, right? Put on top of your chest. You can pause, right? You get the same fucking effect, and then press up. That's all. You can lift over your max, I believe. I mean, some people say that the board press is harder, the 2 board press. For me, it felt fucked, you know? But maybe get on a 3 board. Yeah, why not? Do a 3 board. Do a 3 board, pause it, right? For like a 1 to 2 count, press back up. It's dead stop, it's midway. The injury risk is not there because now, if you fail the weight, the boards are there to stop it. Whereas if you do this midway shit with 120%, imagine you're doing isometric hold, then it fucking comes down and you tear a pec. To me, it doesn't sound like the smartest thing to do. Just use boards, use pins, press off the mid-range, right? And consider accommodating resistance where the bottom is going to be lighter, the top is going to be heavier. If you throw on, check this out, if you throw on light bands, doubled light bands like you saw me do on camera, right? It's over 150 pounds at lockout. So you saw me do 225, right? At the bottom, I don't know what it is. It's probably close to 300, but at the top, fuck. That shit is like over 375 at lockout. So that's what you should be doing. Use bands, use boards, use pins. There's no need to do pausing with 120% in the middle. I don't even know how that's done. So that's that. Next question. I noticed when I OHP, I lean back and it hurts my lower back. I can fix this by sticking my ass out and focusing on keeping my natural arch. Is there another way? Yeah, if you're leaning back when you overhead press, it means that you lack thoracic extension, okay? Now, the best way to correct this for overhead pressing, if you want to be very specific here, is by doing a lot of Z-press. Z-press is going to correct what you're doing right now because if you try leaning back, the weight falls, period. Okay, Z-press is the most strict lift you could do in terms of overhead pressing. It's by far the king for this. And it really teaches you how to stay tight and how to use the upper back correctly when you overhead press. So sit on the floor, do it with your feet together, like lengthen out, fully like fucking do it properly, a proper Z press. And at the top, you're gonna learn how to shove your head through, how to use the upper back, and of course, you'll develop thoracic extension as a result. Combine that with some stretching, some mobility drills, you're all good. You shouldn't have the issue of leaning back, because what you're doing right now is you're pressing up, and then you're leaning back to lock weights out. When in fact, you should be pressing up and then shoving the head through. You see the difference? Also, you gotta squeeze your glutes, okay? So squeeze your ass cheeks as hard as you possibly can. Always keep them squeezed, you know? You can even consider wearing a belt if you want more intra-abdominal pressure, and that should fix you up right there. So that's that. Next question. Yo, Alex, if I train my incline bench, how much will it carry over to flat? That's a very, very relative question, man. Some guys, they get a lot of carryover. Other guys, they get none at all. For me, when I incline press, I don't see jack shit when I go back to flat bench. Actually, sometimes in the past, I used to do exclusively incline. When I go back to flat, I'd be even weaker because the movement pattern was way too different. Okay, so again, it's all relative to your build. Some guys, when they do a lot of incline close grip with a pause, shoots up their bench like crazy. For me, incline benching never really did much. Okay, that's just for my build. I assume because of my hypermobile elbows, it creates a moment arm. But I didn't see the carryover, man. Some guys get it, I just didn't. So you have to experiment with yourself. If you get it, then keep that into your exercise rotation. So that's the next question. Do you ever plan on cutting down, or are you always going to be bear mode? I don't plan on being bear mode for life. Okay, the whole, like, especially 20%. I'm on the road to 20% body fat, which is going to give me the maximum size I can get without drugs. So 20% is going to be like, it's up there. You're kind of pushing the limit of the health, you know. It is a medical healthy range, but it's in the limit, okay? Most likely what I'm going to do is I'm going to get as jacked as fucking possible. And then when I get really bored of it, I'm probably going to switch over to like gymnastics type training, right? And like MMA, or like definitely there's going to be a combat sport. I know it. I know how I am. There's going to be a combat sport for me sometime in the near future. I just know it because that's what my fucking subconscious mind tells me. I know that it's going to be a fucking combat sport, and there's going to be some gymnastics and some calisthenics and a lot of endurance stuff. That's going to be my calling once I'm done with the whole bear mode shit, okay? And for that, I'm probably going to lean down to around 12% body fat. 12 to 15, okay? But 15 is extremely healthy. I don't see any issues with that. But I'll probably roam around 12 to 15 year round. But going past that'll be like, I'll be done with that. Eventually, like, I'm not going to be bear mode for life, okay? I'm still young. I can get away with it, but I'm not going to do it in my fucking 40s. I'm not going to be 40 years old with a fucking 20% body fat and all this shit. No, I'm probably going to be gymnastics, calisthenics, MMA, stuff like that. That's where I see myself being in some years from now. So that's that. Next question. In my lower body part, I've reached 315 squat for reps and a 4-5 deadlift for reps almost a month ago, and my legs start to make my upper body look really small. I would like to know what is your recommendation during this situation, and I would like to know how I was able to do this in this low body weight. Thank you. Well, for the last part, you probably have good leg genetics, and also like 405 for 5 and 315 for 5 is up there, you know. Most guys who hit those numbers get like 70 to 80% of their maximum leg size. Like when I first hit my 315 for 5 squat, I think my legs were like a little bit over 24, right? And my legs aren't really that different today. They're like 25 inches, maybe 25 and a half. They used to be like 26 and a half. And yeah, you don't see like, you get most of your gains. You get like 70 to 80%. So you're probably close to what you're actually, like, your full potential is going to be, you know, in terms of size, not strength, obviously. And that's why your legs got bigger. Now, the reason why it dwarfs your upper body, well, you have stronger lower body than upper body. And also legs are bigger muscle groups. So what you have to do is just up the strength. Get your bench to like 315 for reps, you know, get your overhead press 2 plates if you can. Like, keep raising the standards, and eventually everything's going to balance itself out. You know, it's going to balance itself out. You're going to be good. So you probably just have very strong legs, but weak upper body, you know. Ever thought about that? So just keep working on it, man. Congratulations for reaching the intermediate stage. And if you want to balance out your physique a little bit more, maybe you can consider dropping the squats and deads and going on to like unilateral type of training. So pistol squats, box jumps, stuff like that. That should like minimize like the hypertrophy, you know. It should, like, you're still gonna gain size in the long run if you get strong at it, but it'll be more VMO specific, less glutes, less hamstrings, less outer quad sweep, stuff like that. So pistol squats, I would say give them a shot. So that's that. Next question. Yo, Alex, what body fat percentage do you think Mike Chang was in his earliest videos? He obviously wasn't shredded, but he looked maybe 12 to 14% range. I would say Mike Chang was even higher. I would say that he was around 15 to 17% in his earliest videos. I'm going to attach a picture on the screen. That's around 15 to 17%. Probably closer to 17. Actually, that looks around 16.5%. Okay, yet you can still see his abs. Yet it's funny because people call him the six-pack master. And I had personal friends of mine who used this program, and they were like, man, Mike Chang, man, he's fucking buff, he's ripped. People that I know in real life would call him ripped. Women that I knew in real life would call him ripped. Yet people have the nerve to say that 15% body fat is fucking obese, that you're fat. Guys, if you want to know what 15 to 17% looks like, look at this Mike Chang photo. That is what you're working with. That is not 12%, I guarantee you. That is easily 15 at the absolute minimum. But I say more so like 16 and a half, okay? So you'd be very surprised, guys. The reason why he looks good is because he has muscle. If you don't have muscle, then you just look skinny fat, you see what I'm saying? So that's why like high body fat is the way to fucking go if you're not on drugs, hands down. So that's that. Next question. Yo, Alex, is okay on intensity days instead of going for 1 rep max, going for a high rep PR? For example, 1 week rep PR, 225 for 12, next try 13, 14. No. This is an intensity day, okay? What you're doing right now, you can try that on your volume workouts. In fact, that's what I would do on your volume workouts. You could start off with your close grip bench, 225, right? Get 12 reps, week 1. Week 2, try to get more. Week 3, try to get more. You know, and then after 3 weeks, you rotate the exercises, maybe move on to another benching variation, like a 2-board. And now you do the same thing, the linear progression style. That's how I would do it. Don't make your intensity days into fucking volume workouts, okay? Why would you take the max effort method and replace it for like an AMRAP, like 12 reps? Fuck that. No. You can do that on your volume days year round, no problem. But for your intensity days, it's low reps. If you want, you can do like 5 sets of 1. You can go at like 85, 90%, and you could do like work sets with that, like 6 sets of 2, 3 sets of 3, shit like that. Or you could just do the max effort method. I prefer max effort method, but I know other powerlifters prefer to use like 85, 90%, and they just increase the sets. That works too. Okay, but I'm not gonna accept doing reps of 12, like reps of 15, etc. as your first lift, as your primary builder on the intensity day. Hell no. So that's that. Next question. How big of a role does genetics play in bodybuilding? I know my genetics are pretty bad, so I'm still able to get big. You can probably still get big, but the way you look ultimately is determined by your genetics. Genetics are everything when it comes to bodybuilding. It's so fucking important. Like, I would say genetics is the #1 factor in looking big. Not necessarily lean body mass, although that's certainly a factor as well. Like, you can have a high fat free mass index, but have terrible like bodybuilding genetics. And bodybuilding genetics typically means like the muscle insertions attaches at a good point. You know, you got the muscle belly fullness. You blow up in size fairly easily without having to get super strong. These are traits of good bodybuilding genetics. Like, you just see it. Even your build. Some guys are born with like ultra wide clavicles. You know, some guys are just blessed in certain body parts. Like, and that's why like it's very it could be unmotivating, man. It could be unmotivating, and that's why like chasing strength to me is like the best thing you can fucking do. Because everybody can get stronger, you know? Of course, there's an anthropometry component to that too, you know? But, I mean, I think most guys have better strength genetics than they do bodybuilding genetics. Like, so, yeah, bodybuilding is largely genetic for the most part, especially when you factor drugs in the equation. So that's that. Next question. What are your thoughts on alcohol and bodybuilding? How lean are you trying to get? If you're not trying to get super shredded, you know, then drink. Fucking drink. I used to drink. In 2015, I was drinking like 4 times a week. I shit you not. I would drink like 2 to 3 glasses a day, 4 times a week of wine. And I had beer too. I had beer on the fucking daily. Yeah, man, it was good. It was a great experience. And you definitely see it though. Like, say, it's fucking high in calories. You can rack up a lot of it. You know, it's not really the best for getting lean. But look, if you're living the bare mode lifestyle, you can fucking drink alcohol very easily. Like, you can drink it every day if you want. Real fucking talk, guys. Yeah, you could drink alcohol every day if you're not trying to be stupid lean. Now, if you're trying to get shredded, you know, you want to be really, really cut, then you have to minimize your consumption of it. You know, you can still have it. You can still party on the weekends, but you gotta be intelligent. You know, like, I know Kino Body has his way of doing it with the intermittent fasting, which does work, just so you know, because it's fucking hard to eat a lot of food at the end of the day when you pretty much starve the whole day, you know. So that works. But yeah, like, it's just, I recommend that if you're trying to get stupid lean, stupid shredded, that you don't overdrink. But if you're trying to be in a fluffier state, you can drink away. And again, I'm not condoning alcohol consumption necessarily, but I'm just giving you the raw truth. So that's that. Next question. Please tell us how to use the OHP as a competitive movement in the Westside Barbell method, and if this is a good program for advanced lifters. Just got into that phase. Well, welcome to this phase, man. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, you can definitely use the overhead press as a competition lift. As you know, with me, I took a year off from benching. I just did exclusively overhead press. I took it from 205 to 225. So it took me a year to add 20 pounds to the shit. And the way that I did it was pretty much, it was very Westside-ish, but it was programmed for the overhead press. All you got to do is apply the same principles. Special exercise that mimic the movement pattern that use the muscles of the overhead press. That's it. So for me, you saw me do a lot of overhead pressing with bands. I maxed out with various tensions. I did overhead pressing with dumbbells. I did Z presses. I mean, watch my older videos from 2016 with the overhead press training. You'll see how I got to my level of strength, okay? So it's the same principles as if you were training a competitive bench using the Westside Barbell conjugate system. It's just that you're applying it to the overhead press, using overhead press specific movements. It's common sense. If you understand the principles of Westside and what they do, then you can easily bring it over to the overhead press. You can do max effort overhead press day, you can do dynamic effort overhead press day, although the percentages have to vary a bit. It's not hard to do at all. You just got to use your common sense. So that's that next question. Should we use a belt in novice stage only after we hit the 315, 225, 400 standard? Yeah, like I know some guys, they say that you should start whenever you want. You can start novice, intermediate, advanced, whatever. For me, I say milk your gains beltless for as long as you fucking can. And only use a belt when you really have to, or you have to do so for competition. Like as you know, for myself, I didn't use a belt for 8 years, very close to 9, no fucking belt. Never got injured, never had any problems. So you don't actually need a belt. You can actually go the rest of your life without getting a belt. So I would say, like, if you're a novice, why not just train beltless? Why not learn how to brace correctly, right? And not have to rely onto this belt. Like, I know a lot of guys who, when they take off the belt, they don't know how to use their abs. To me, that's a damn shame. Like, I think, as a novice, you should learn how to brace without the belt, right? And then once you're intermediate and you feel like maybe you want to include a belt, sure, use your belt. But I sincerely believe that you should get your beltless numbers up first. Like imagine when you do 315 for 5 beltless squat, 4-5 for 5 beltless deadlift. You're going to have a core of steel, right? Then you throw in a belt on top of that. Now your numbers jump up 20, 40 pounds and your reps go up too. It's a beautiful thing. So I say milk the gains as long as you can and you'll be good. But you know what? It would be biased of me to say that you can't use a belt as a novice. You certainly can. I just say that you don't need it. So yeah, you do what you want. Next question. Hey, there's so many variations of bicep curls, so I'm asking for help. Which one should I combine in a bicep workout for maximum gains? Maybe there's some that you wouldn't recommend at all. What I would recommend, if you want big fucking biceps, right? The best exercise I can give, the best 3 curls, because you're asking about curls, right? I would say number 1, incline dumbbell curl. Why? Because it maximizes the weighted stretch. If you do the incline dumbbell curl, you're going to get massive biceps, right? Do that shit. Secondly, preacher curl. Preacher curl is negative specific. You start at the top and you move down. At the bottom, you get a nice stretch as well. So preacher curls are definitely going to help you out. Thirdly, I'm going to recommend a cable curl. Why the cable curl? Because it accommodates resistance, okay? You can actually squeeze your muscles a lot better and there's like constant tension throughout the entire lift. So I believe that if you incorporate all these 3 curls, you can have the best possible development. So incline curl, preacher curl, cable curl, you're all good. And if you want to give me 2 extra bonuses, try the weighted chin up. Weighted chin up with a very narrow grip. That's going to stretch out your biceps. If you get strong at that, it should help you out. And of course, the classic mass building exercise, the barbell curl. Although I would say the dumbbells are superior for building the biceps. That's just my opinion. So yeah, give those lifts a shot, and I think you'll be very satisfied with your development. Next question. I'm an intermediate squatter and bencher, but novice deadlifter. What program should I run? That's a shitty situation. And you know what? The same thing happened to me back in the day. Before I even hit 4-5 for 5 on my deadlift, I was already squatting 3 plates for reps because I'm not built for the deadlift. I was built to squat. So I had the same issue. I was benching the mid 200s, squatting the 300s, and then my deadlift was like around 365, 385. So it was about 40 pounds off from the cutoff. And this will happen. I would say it's rare, but it does happen. Now, in cases like this, the worst thing you could fucking do, honestly, is continue running a novice program. It's a terrible idea because your squat and bench is going to suffer for it. And if you go in an intermediate program, like an intermediate hybrid, like the one I have on my site, then again, it's still not optimal, man, because your deadlift is, I don't think it's optimal. I think you should just transition fully into an intermediate program. If I can go back in time, I would have done that hands down because I lost a lot of fucking time trying to use linear progression on my deadlift. My linear progression was very hard to make progress at the 3.5 mark. So I would have just done an intermediate program. It would have been covered right there. So yeah, just go straight intermediate, no hybrids, no novice. You're going to be good. So that's our next question. Hey Alex, if you would run 3 times a week full body, how would you set up your light day in terms of exercise selection and intensity? Perhaps no cheating variations, strict form, etc. Yeah, pretty much that's how I would do it. What I would do on my light day is attack the movement patterns that I didn't necessarily attack in the volume or intensity day. Now, if you're familiar with my work, you'll know that I do a lot of cheat rows and power shrugs, right? Well, guess what? I rarely do lat pull downs or weighted pull-ups. So I would do that on the light day. Yeah, I would do it on the light day. I would do my weighted pull-ups on the light day as well as the lat pull-downs. That's what I would do, right? And then I would also probably hit some dumbbell presses in there too. You know, I would hit some light lifts, nothing too heavy, maybe like 55, 65 pounds or some shit, and just do like reps of 15 and really control it. And you can treat it like a bodybuilder day if you want. You know, it doesn't have to be stupid heavy, but I would definitely use low percentages relative to your 1 rep max and attack the movement patterns that you didn't really love so much in your intensity and volume. And of course, guess what? Maybe include some strict rows. Why not? You're not going to do a cheat row on a light day, right? You're using low percentages relative to 1 rep max. So I would say, why not? Do some strict rows. You could do a seal row. That's probably what I would do. I would do a seal row or like a cable row, something like that. Maybe for my biceps or some shit, I would pump them out with some cables. It doesn't have to be complicated. But yeah, that's what I would do personally. Alex, you talked about rib pain before, but what about sternum pain from working out? I don't know what is causing it. Please help. Thanks. Listen, man, sternum pain can be caused by a lot of things. I don't know what your exact case is. Your question is rather vague, but I can give you a few recommendations. Here's the thing. I found 2 exercises that give rib pain. The first would have to be the weighted dip. Some people, because of their anthropometry, not mobility, when they would do weighted dips, they get sternum pain. So that's just a lift that for some guys, they have to dismiss. Now, I don't know if you're doing weighted dips, but if you are, just drop it, okay? The second lift that I found to hurt your ribs is actually the behind the back rack pull. I've noticed that if you pull behind the back, sometimes your ribs fucking hurt because there's a lot of like you're like crunching your body inwards, right? And you're overloading with a super heavy weight. And because the shakiness, and sometimes when you go behind the back, you grab the bar unevenly, you feel your ribs hurting. So the solution is to pay very close attention to where you grab the barbell and make sure that it's nice and even and don't shake your lower back. So yeah, those are the 2 main lifts that I found that tend to fuck up the ribs. But other than that, I don't really have any other advice. Maybe refrain from pullovers. There could be pullovers as well. But yeah, those are the lifts right there. So good luck to you, sir. If anyone else has suggestions, let me know. And that's it. Next question. And last question of the week. Alex, how would you convert your numbers from the wide stance, box squat, floor press, and the deadlift work to the conventional version of these lifts? For example, if I box squat 225 for 5 reps, how much is that in the conventional squat? Thanks. Honestly, it's impossible to know. It's really impossible. You have to test this out on your own free time. The only thing that I can do is give you general recommendations, general estimations. What I would say is this. Floor press, okay? If you can hit about 205 for 3 to 5 reps, that should be a 225 for 5 bench. It might even be a 225 for 5 pause bench. At least for me. For my particular build, that's how it would equate to, you know? For the box squat, I would say if you could do 315, 335 around, you know, that should equate to a 3-plate squat. The thing is, the box squat, some guys, it doesn't have the best carryover to the free squat. And the reason why I included the box squat is because it's for recreational lifters. My intention of the program was not for you to become a free squatter, you know, or so that you can eventually compete in powerlifting. That's not what it was. Certainly, it will give you a base, but I chose the box squat as a general movement pattern, and it's good for the posterior chain and the recovery, you know? So some guys are not going to get a good carryover. You might be a 3-plate box squatter, but then you drop the fucking box and you're doing like 250, you know? So you'll only figure it out when you actually try it out. But my program was never had the idea of you doing free squats unless you substitute the box for that, you know? So I would say it should be like 15% less than your free squat approximately, maybe 15% more depending on the height of the box. And that's a good recommendation for that. And then for the trap bar deadlift, if you're using the same handle height, it should be the same thing. So if you do 405 trap bar with the low handles, it should equate to a 405 conventional, you know? And if it's the high handles, maybe like 445, 4.5 type of deal. But yeah, those are just recommendations. They're not sound. There's no evidence behind this. I'm just speculating here. At the end of the day, everybody's different. You got to go in the gym and see if you hit my numbers. So that's that for today's Q&A video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have more questions, leave them down below and I will answer them all next week.